could have been the original attempt, one of the original attempts. I really would like to see what's at the bottom of that shaft.
Based on numerous recent discoveries this year, the team has good reason to believe that this 80-foot-deep, decayed wooden structure may be connected to the original money pit.
On what was supposed to be a routine wrap-up to Season 13 of The Curse of Oak Island, the team captured something that changes everything. There was no dramatic music cue, no bold announcement. Just a quiet moment in the finale where a single anomaly appeared on the data screens. An anomaly that doesn't fit the long-standing money pit narrative at all. The massive underground structure sits outside the expected zone. The so-called flood tunnels, they don't align the way decades of theory have claimed. Instead of random shafts and accidental collapses, the new evidence points toward deliberate, calculated design, engineered with precision that feels far ahead of its supposed era. This wasn't just another hopeful signal in the dirt, it was a contradiction. Because if this final clue is interpreted correctly, then Oak Island isn't the story of repeated failure and near misses. It's the story of a system built to mislead. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why Season 13 may mark the most unsettling turning point the island has ever revealed. If you're ready to uncover the truth behind mysteries they don't want you to see, hit subscribe now and join us for the next breakthrough. The moment happened during the episode Billion Dollar Clues. Gary Drayton was sweeping the shoreline with his metal detector when he picked up a signal that didn't fit any familiar pattern. It wasn't the crisp chirp of silver, not the flat response of iron. This was deeper, fuller, almost resonant. After decades of searching across continents, Gary knows how buried objects speak. This signal felt off. It hinted at empty space where solid ground should have been. When heavy equipment was brought in, the bucket struck timber. The sound that echoed back wasn't dull. It boomed, hollow, like striking a drum. Wood only sounds like that when there's open space behind it. Gary stopped cold, detector still in his hand. In all his time on Oak Island, he had never heard anything like it. Rick Lagina, standing nearby, heard it too. His expression changed instantly. After 13 seasons of setbacks, skepticism, and staggering financial commitment, he understood what that echo implied. Something was down there. Not random debris, not natural rock, something constructed. For weeks, experts had struggled to explain strange underground readings in the area. The formations didn't behave like normal geology. Natural erosion doesn't create clean, hollow voids like that. As the team dug deeper, the reality became impossible to ignore. Those anomalies weren't natural formations. They were walls, man-made walls, carefully placed at a depth designed to remain stable despite shifting tides. That level of construction demands an understanding of water flow, soil stability, and structural planning. It suggests knowledge of hydraulic systems and pressure control. Expertise far beyond what 1700s pirates would realistically possess. Whoever built this chamber knew exactly how groundwater moves through Earth. They understood how to counteract tidal force. They engineered a seal capable of surviving centuries. This wasn't a hurried pit dug by treasure-hungry buccaneers. It was methodical, strategic, intentional. When the breach finally opened, the crew prepared for disaster. Every major excavation in Oak Island history had been sabotaged by sudden flooding. They braced for seawater. It never came. The seal held. Instead, a rush of trapped air escaped, carrying the unmistakable scent of ancient timber and long-sealed earth. It smelled like history, like a space that hadn't breathed in hundreds of years. There was a deeper note in that air, too. The musty trace of old wood, cut in an era when medieval monarchs still ruled Europe. Inside, the chamber walls bore the marks of hand tools. No machine precision, just deliberate craftsmanship. Strokes made by builders who worked with patience, measured in seasons, not deadlines. Marty Lagina arrived shortly after. He looked down into the darkness and stood there in silence. Then, quietly, "This is it. This is what we've been searching for. This chamber may finally solve a mystery that has baffled researchers for over 2 centuries. What if the Money Pit flood tunnels were never designed as booby traps? What if they were part of a sophisticated water management system, built not to flood treasure hunters out, but to redirect water away from something far more important? This concealed chamber. If that's true, then every shaft dug over the last 200 years was targeting the wrong location. The real vault may have been here all along, hidden beneath the shoreline, protected by engineering centuries ahead of its time. And even now, enormous pressure bears down on it. Layers of saturated soil and ocean weight pressing against timber that has endured for generations. The question is no longer whether something was hidden. The question is why it was hidden so perfectly, and who possessed the knowledge to build something like this in the first place. The risk of catastrophic collapse has never been higher. One wrong move, one rushed decision, and whatever lies inside that chamber could be crushed, flooded, or lost before it's ever documented. No one understands that better than Rick Lagina. Standing at the edge of the breach, he faced the defining choice of Season 13. Proceed carefully and risk missing a fleeting opportunity, or press forward and risk destroying the very thing they've spent over a decade chasing. He chose to push ahead. Reaching the chamber came at a cost. The Money Pit fought back. Season 13 marked the most aggressive strategy the team had ever attempted. Larger excavation zones, heavy machinery moving in close, and a determined effort to finally control the water in the central dig area. Rick and Marty Lagina committed everything to this push: years of planning, millions of dollars, and the weight of 13 seasons of expectation. Then, without warning, the ground gave way. A hidden void collapsed beneath the surface, triggering a violent chain reaction. Massive equipment tilted toward the opening. Crew members scrambled, shouting warnings over the roar. The earth trembled. Muddy water surged through nearby shafts, contaminating samples and scrambling months of data. A plume of dust shot skyward, visible all the way to the causeway. The sound was unforgettable, a deep grinding rumble as tons of soil shifted and settled into the darkness below. And then, silence. The heavy, dreadful silence that follows disaster, when everyone is counting heads and praying no one was taken with the earth. Gary Drayton was working on the outer edge of the island when he felt the tremor. He saw the dust cloud rising from the Money Pit zone. "That's not good," he muttered, already moving to clear the area. "That's really not good." Operations shut down immediately. Cameras stopped rolling. Safety crews moved in. The Money Pit was sealed off, deemed too unstable for anyone to approach. Authorities intervened with stop work orders as geological reports confirmed a troubling reality. The limestone and gypsum layers beneath the island are gradually dissolving, a natural process thousands of years in the making. Every drill, every shaft, every excavation speeds that decay. Oak Island is literally coming apart. Viewership may be climbing, audiences drawn to the high-stakes drama from the safety of their living rooms, but for Rick, Marty, and the crew, this isn't entertainment. It's danger, and it's escalating. A collapse at 100 feet deep isn't minor. The shock spreads outward. weakening surrounding shafts, distorting readings, undoing decades of work in seconds. What took generations to uncover can vanish in a single moment. But what happened next stunned everyone. When the Earth caved in, it exposed something no one had documented before, a debris layer buried deep below. From the wreckage, timber fragments emerged, and they didn't match the searcher tunnels from the 1800s. The wood bore hand-cut markings, tool signatures consistent with medieval craftsmanship. The collapse erased evidence, but it also revealed a secret hidden for 6 centuries. The artifacts recovered in Season 13 aren't pirate-era relics. They're medieval. Carbon dating places human activity on Oak Island between 1350 and 1400 AD, long before Columbus sailed west. That timeline forces a difficult question. Have searchers been focused on the wrong target for over a decade? If the true story was unfolding in Lot 5 and beneath the shoreline, while attention remained fixed on the money pit, then years of effort, millions spent, relentless labor, even the 6 lives lost in pursuit, may have followed a carefully engineered misdirection. And the implications stretch far beyond this island. If Europeans were constructing advanced underground systems in Nova Scotia during the 1300s, then accepted history faces a serious challenge. Yes, Norse explorers reached North America around 1000 AD. That's well established, but their settlements were temporary. What Season 13 suggests is something entirely different. A coordinated expedition, skilled, funded, equipped to build concealed permanent infrastructure. Tools recovered from Lot 5 resemble designs used in medieval France and Scotland, the same types employed in building castles and cathedrals. These weren't crude digging implements. They were construction tools, meant for large-scale architectural projects. Rick Lagina held one of the recovered wood fragments, running his fingers along the surface. The adze marks were clear, shallow, curved impressions, left by a tool not commonly used for half a millennium. The timber was dense and heavy, saturated from centuries underground, yet remarkably intact. Each mark reflected intention, the angle of the blade, the controlled force, the precision of a builder who expected this structure to endure. "This isn't searcher debris," Rick said quietly. "This is original. This came from the builders." He passed the fragment to the archaeologist beside him. The room fell silent. They were staring at physical evidence of medieval construction beneath Nova Scotia soil, evidence that shouldn't exist if conventional history is complete. The consequences are staggering. Europeans may have stood on Oak Island 3 centuries before the supposed 1795 discovery of the money pit. And the leading theory is shifting. Maybe the treasure was never gold. Maybe it was something far more valuable, a protected repository for a persecuted order. Documents, sacred relics, items of profound religious significance. For years, the idea of a Templar connection has circulated, often dismissed as speculation based on carved symbols and coincidental imagery. But now, the evidence is tangible, datable, testable. The Knights Templar weren't pirates. They were master builders, engineers behind some of medieval Europe's most sophisticated structures. Cathedrals that still rise above city skylines, fortresses that have endured 8 centuries of war and weather. If they, or an organization like them, were responsible for what lies beneath Oak Island, then this was never about buried treasure. It was about protecting something powerful enough to survive the collapse of empires and hiding it so well that history itself would forget. They possessed knowledge of hydraulics, geology, mechanics, and complex construction techniques that pirates simply wouldn't have had. Suddenly, The flood tunnels stop looking like crude booby traps. Designing a system that interacts with ocean tides isn't guesswork. It requires mathematics, physics, and generations of accumulated understanding about pressure and water movement. That level of sophistication aligns far more with a disciplined monastic military order than with opportunistic raiders. In the war room, Marty Lagina studied the lab report, confirming the carbon dating. The timber recovered from beneath the shoreline predates Columbus by roughly 150 years. Those numbers weren't just data points, they were vindication. For the money spent, the criticism endured, and the years people questioned why two successful businessmen would pour their fortunes into an island. "We're past treasure hunting," Marty said quietly, setting the report down. "We're dealing with archaeology now, and this changes history." Rick stood by the window, looking out across the island that had defined so much of their lives. The silence between the brothers said more than words could. The magnitude of the discovery filled the room. The finale will showcase the evidence in dramatic fashion. Adze-marked timbers, medieval-era tools, carbon dates pointing to the 1300s. After 13 seasons of theories, Oak Island finally has tangible proof of ancient construction. But with proof comes discomfort. If something was deliberately concealed here and protected with extraordinary effort, maybe it was never meant to be uncovered. From the beginning, the legend has loomed. 7 must die before the treasure is found. 6 lives have already been lost in pursuit of Oak Island's secret. Season 13 came closer to a 7th than ever before. For years, the curse felt like narrative tension, something that heightened drama for viewers. But when the pit collapses beneath heavy machinery and the earth shifts without warning, it doesn't feel like folklore. It feels real. During the final days of filming, a massive piece of equipment nearly slipped into a sudden void. Crew members stood just feet from the crumbling edge. Seconds separated safety from catastrophe. After the evacuation, Rick lingered near the perimeter, watching dust settle over the money pit. His face didn't show anger. It showed something closer to grief. 13 years poured into that excavation, and for a moment it seemed ready to claim more than just time and money. The finale carries a heavy tone. No celebration, no triumphant cheers, just exhausted faces in the war room, processing how close they came to disaster. The relief is visible, and so is the realization that the island remains unpredictable. They uncovered something extraordinary, but Oak Island reminded them who's in control. Now a bold idea is gaining traction. Abandon the tunnels entirely. The shafts are unstable. Precision drilling has failed again and again. Collapses are becoming more frequent. One solution remains: strip it all away. An open pit excavation. Remove the hill. Expose everything to daylight. For years, fans have argued the Lagina brothers should take a page from large-scale mining operations, move the earth, and end the mystery decisively. After this season's collapse, that once radical approach feels less extreme and more inevitable. But it comes with a cost. Once the island is torn open, there's no reversing it. Archaeological context would be destroyed. The mystery would end. But so would the island as we know it. Season 13 leaves Rick and Marty at a crossroads. Halt the dig because the danger has grown too severe, or push forward, dismantling the island in pursuit of answers that may have been buried intentionally. What the finale makes clear is this: Season 13 was never really about treasure. It marked a transformation. The shoreline chamber, the medieval timber, the carbon dates pointing to the 1300s. These discoveries don't lead to a chest of gold. They point to a hidden chapter of history, something protected with remarkable precision. The narrative has shifted from a vertical chase down the money pit to a broader, interconnected mystery, linking the swamp, the shoreline, and the pit itself. It suggests the builders weren't just hiding valuables. They were constructing an underground stronghold, a fortified site designed to safeguard something for centuries. Something important enough, or dangerous enough, to justify crossing an ocean to conceal it in isolation. Some theories now suggest Oak Island's origins trace back to the Knights Templar, with later groups possibly maintaining the secret so it could one day be reclaimed. That speculation raises new questions, including whether the Knights of Malta had involvement in subsequent work on the island. What's becoming clear is this: the money pit may have been engineered as a decoy, a vertical trap designed to fail, to flood, to mislead anyone digging straight down. Generations of searchers may have followed a path carefully constructed to lead nowhere. Meanwhile, the true vault rested beneath the shoreline, shielded from tidal destruction and hidden in plain sight. Gary Drayton summed it up best as the sun dipped behind Oak Island, staring at the chamber opening. 200 years digging in the wrong place. And the answer was right here. The finale won't solve everything. It never does. But it changes the question entirely. It's no longer, where is the treasure? It's what was so significant that medieval builders crossed an ocean to hide it, and designed a system that has already claimed 6 lives protecting it. Season 13 brought the team closer to that truth than anyone in 2 centuries. The 7th death has not happened, but on Oak Island, the legend still lingers, waiting.